Welcome back to the second video in this series about photosynthesis and what it is and how it's going to occur. So to review, we've talked before about the fact that the sun powers everything and that the sun actually keeps things cycling around the earth. But we're going to zoom in right now and look at how the sun powers a really microscopic part of those cycles called photosynthesis. And we gave you a general overall statement that says carbon dioxide plus water and sunlight is going to make oxygen and sugar called glucose. Now, if I just took a bottle of seltzer water is water and carbon dioxide bubbles all mixed together. If I took that bottle and threw it out in my front yard and let the sun beat down on it, if I come and open that bottle in a week, will I have sugar in there and oxygen gas in there? No, because the most important part of this photosynthesis is the plant itself. You can't just take these carbon dioxide molecules and water molecules and hit them with sunlight and then boom, they turn into sugar. It just doesn't work that way. We need something about the plant, something in the plant actually makes this process go. So let's take a closer look at what's actually happening. This process, I kind of tried to carefully draw that the light here is entering, that the light is going to enter the green leaf, because photosynthesis is going to happen in the green leaves of plants, not necessarily other colors, but definitely in the green leaves, because green leaves have a thing called a chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll, and chloroplasts and chlorophyll are going to be important elements to this process that are going to help the plant combine the carbon dioxide and the water to produce the sugar and the oxygen. So what we're going to do here is draw a rough model of a chloroplast. So here's my chloroplast. And a chloroplast is a little tiny part called an organelle that you'll find inside a plant cell. Not animal cells, because animal cells aren't capable of doing this, but inside plant cells. So imagine looking at a leaf and then take a microscope and boil yourself down or zoom in so you can see the individual plant cells that are in there. And if these cells are capable of actually making sugar, then they'll have something called a chloroplast in them, which contains a chemical called chlorophyll. And chlorophyll comes in several different kinds, but we're just going to say for now that it's green, and we'll just stick to one kind, that there's one kind of chlorophyll. Okay, so inside this chloroplast, there are different things which we're not going to go into at this point. When you talk to a bio teacher later, they're going to talk to you about the stroma and different, what's going on in the cell fluid. But for now, I'm just going to say inside here there's a part of the chloroplast that's going to be like a machine that does some stuff. And for that machine to run, I need sunlight to hit there. Okay, and I also need carbon dioxide. I need water to be coming in there. So water is going to enter into the chloroplast with the light. And what's going to happen is that machine in there, that chloroplast, is going to tear the water apart, and it's going to spit out 12 hydrogen particles. So I need to stick in 6 water particles. Okay, 6 water particles actually can be broken down into 12 hydrogens and 6 oxygens. And the 12 hydrogens are going to get spit down to a lower section here of the chloroplast. And if we have 6 oxygens, they actually combine to give me 3 oxygen molecules. Because oxygen has a funny chemical property that they combine together. They form O2s. So instead of having 6 individual oxygen things, we have 3 pairs of oxygen, like that. Now, there's a second half to this process. So let's make a dividing line here. Change color. And say that the top half here is the light half, is light dependent. Okay, dependent. So the light dependent part takes the chlorophyll and the chloroplast, and it takes light and water, and it splits that water into 3 oxygen molecules and 12 hydrogens. Now, to be technically correct, those hydrogens aren't atoms any longer. They've actually lost some electrons because there's an electron transport chain that we're also not going to talk about. It's too much detail. When you take bio next year, you'll talk more about it. But for reasons we're not going to talk about, those hydrogens lost electrons and are now positively charged. And they enter into a new cycle. And this is the dark cycle. So we'll call this the dark cycle of photosynthesis. And in the dark cycle, we're going to take some carbon dioxide, which the plant also needs, because we pumped in the water, and the water's been taken care of. And now we'll pump in the carbon dioxide. And we're going to need 6 of those. So we need 6 carbon dioxides to come in with the 12 hydrogens from the light cycle, or light-dependent part. And there's a different kind of like hidden machine that we're not going to talk about. And what winds up happening is we get 3 more oxygens for a total of 6 oxygens coming out. So in the end, we produce 6 oxygens because the oxygen came out of the oxygen right there. And we're also going to produce the sugar, which is C6H12O6. This is our glucose. Okay, so chloroplast has chlorophyll, and it's a kind of a little tiny organelle, a little machine inside a leaf cell. And when light hits it, the light splits 6 water particles into 12 hydrogens and 3 oxygen gas particles. Then, when we don't need the light, we'll take in 6 carbon dioxide particles and we'll combine those with our 12 hydrogen particles to make a C6H12O6 molecule called glucose and 3 more oxygens. And the 3 oxygens from the top half of the cycle and the 3 oxygens from the bottom half of the cycle combine to give us 6 total oxygens. So if I wrote that out, I would have light plus 6 waters plus 6 carbon dioxides go to C6H12O6 plus 6 O2. Okay, light plus 6 waters plus 6 carbon dioxides produce 1 glucose, C6H12O6, and 6 oxygen molecules. So the question now is matter conserved? Is matter conserved? So, oops, that's an ugly looking C there. Well, first of all, what's it mean for matter to be conserved? If I say that matter is conserved, I mean that it has to be cycled, that you can't take an atom and just destroy it, you can't take an atom and lose it, and you can't just make atoms out of nowhere. They have to start one place and be moved or shuffled around, but they can't just disappear. So let's look. In the beginning here, I've got 6 H2s. So that gives me actually 12 H's. And I've got 6 O's right there, plus another 12 O's, because 6 times 2 is 12. So it's my 6 O's from the water and my 12 O's from the carbon dioxide give me 18 oxygen particles. And I've also got 6 carbons in the beginning. Well, what happens in the end of this reaction? Well, if I look, I still have my 6 carbons. So I still have 6 carbons. I have, right here, 12 hydrogens. And I've got 6 O's plus 12 O's is 18 O's. So I do. I've got 18 O's, 12 H's, and 6 carbons. All of my molecules are there. They've just been rearranged. So a plant just takes things and shuffles them together and makes new things out of them. So second question we have to ask, is energy conserved? Well, what's going on with energy? Like, do we lose it? Because look, the light comes in but then there's nothing on the other side. Where did that energy go? Well, the energy actually gets stored in the reshuffling of all the atoms. So when we make this sugar up here, that's a molecule that is able to release energy when it gets broken down, okay, through a process called respiration, which we'll talk about later. And we have another molecule that we haven't talked about, which is called ATP. And ATP is going to be our main storehouse of energy that will enable us to move energy all over the cells that are inside us and energy that's inside the cells of the plant. Now I'm going to stop here and we're just going to say, yes, energy is conserved because the energy in the light gets stored inside the chemicals themselves. The chemicals, say the construction of glucose and then the eventual respiration of that glucose is able to trap the light's energy. The ATP, the adenosine triphosphate that we'll talk about in the next video, also is a way to trap the light's energy and then move it inside a cell. So we'll pick this up again next time when we take an even closer look at what's going on with this ATP thing and what are the individual steps of the photosynthesis process. Good luck, guys.